Welcome to this explainer. Okay, picture this. You're desperately trying to hide a glowing phone screen under a blanket in a pitch-black room, terrified of waking up your parents. We've all been there, right? Well, today we're diving into a brilliant, high-stakes, comedic narrative that perfectly captures the absolute intense pressure of traditional family power dynamics and the modern generational divide. It's the story of a young man named Santosh, but honestly, it's basically a masterclass in domestic sociology. We are going to unpack exactly how physical space, rigid family hierarchies, and modern smartphones all collide to create an absolute nightmare for one terrifyingly trapped guy.
So we kick things off with this absurdly demanding threat from Santosh's girlfriend on the phone. "If you don't talk, I will die." And man, that perfectly sets the scene. We've got a terrified young man trapped right between the intense emotional blackmail of his partner on one side and the highly dangerous physical proximity of his intimidating elders sleeping right next to him on the other. He is quite literally caught between a digital rock and a very physical hard place.
To figure out how this pressure cooker explodes, we're going to analyze this chaotic night through 5 distinct lenses: the cramped room dynamic, the nosy uncle, the authoritarian father, the technology and generational divide, and finally, the ultimate power struggle. Let's start with part 1, the cramped room dynamic and its physical constraints. Think about this incredible contradiction for a second. The physical environment here isn't just a backdrop, it's the ultimate catalyst for the whole conflict. Santosh desperately tries to explain to his girlfriend that his family owns 40 massive acres of agricultural land, yet their actual physical living space? It's just 2 rooms. Whenever relatives visit, the whole family is shoved into the exact same sleeping quarters, completely destroying any illusion of privacy. His girlfriend keeps demanding he just go to another room, completely failing to grasp this rural spatial reality, which really highlights a massive disconnect right out of the gate.
And, this severe lack of physical space dictates everything that follows, especially the immediate reality of covert communication. Because he is literally lying inches away from his strict father and visiting uncle, the younger generation's communication style is forced into this panicked reality of whispering in the dark. Santosh is frantically trying to hide a secret relationship from the absolute worst audience possible. Every tiny rustle of a blanket, every single illuminated pixel on that screen is a massive, massive risk.
Moving on to part 2, the nosy uncle, our instigator.
Enter Masaji, the uncle. He brilliantly represents that classic, ever-probing extended family dynamic. He ensures that in a room with 0 physical boundaries, there are absolutely no psychological boundaries either. He's what we'd call the proxy instigator. His communication style is indirect, sure, but it is highly effective. While the dad is fast asleep, the uncle is wide awake, weaponizing casual chat about jobs, money, and relationships. He's basically a human surveillance camera for the family, casually sniffing around to see if Santosh is secretly talking to a girl in the dark. It's a subtle but totally aggressive form of domestic policing.
The really crucial thing here is how he wields this proxy power. By casually tossing out something like, "I feel like he's grown up now, shouldn't we look for a girl for him?" to the resting father, the uncle is deliberately turning up the heat in the room. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is cornering Santosh, testing his reactions in the dark, all while maintaining total plausible deniability under the guise of sweet, caring family banter.
Part 3. The authoritarian father and his absolute power.
At the very top of this domestic hierarchy sits Babuji, the authoritarian father. If the uncle is the surveillance camera, the father is the judge, jury, and executioner. And just notice the massive contrast in how these generations communicate. Unlike the uncle's sneaky, probing questions, Babuji's communication is loud, it's booming, and it is incredibly direct. He doesn't ask, he commands. His authority doesn't rely on subtle social pressure, it relies on absolute respect and the very real, very present fear of physical punishment to keep the house in order. Actually, Santosh reminds his girlfriend of this brutal history. He compares his father to an executioner who literally stripped his skin with a leather belt in the freezing cold once for misbehaving. This intense cultural context completely grounds our analysis. It explains exactly why a simple, late-night phone call isn't just breaking a minor rule. To the son, it feels like a literal life-or-death scenario. The stakes couldn't possibly be higher for him.
Which brings us to part 4. Technology, generational divides, and the smartphone clash.
This physical clash of generations inevitably triggers a massive divide, and it is centered entirely around modern technology. The smartphone essentially becomes the ultimate battleground here. We've got two completely opposing worldviews. To the elders, Babuji and Masaji, the smartphone is viewed with this deep inherent suspicion. They see it as the root of all evil, right? A tool for moral decay and secret romances that are going to ruin the youth. But to the younger generation, to Santosh, the smartphone is a desperate lifeline. When he's physically trapped in a room with his elders, it's his only escape hatch to privacy and modern relationships.
This massive generational communication gap is just hilariously highlighted by the increasingly absurd tech-based excuses Santosh tries to feed his father to justify holding a glowing phone in the dark. First, it's just a torch to find the bathroom. Then, when the phone inevitably rings, he claims it's just the phone company doing a late-night check. But the absolute pinnacle of this desperation, it's when he claims he was just asking Google how to convert acres of land into local measurements. I mean, he is frantically trying to use traditional agrarian concepts to mask his modern digital transgression, and it is laugh-out-loud ridiculous.
And finally, Part 5, the ultimate power struggle, and our climax. If we actually map out the dynamics of this pressure cooker, we uncover this fascinating matrix of competing power structures that are all converging on one incredibly stressed out guy. Breaking it down, Babuji wields absolute physical authority and fear. The girlfriend commands high power through relentless emotional blackmail. Malsa leverages medium power through his proxy surveillance. And right at the bottom, with absolute zero power, is Santosh. He is totally trapped in the middle of these intersecting forces, utterly powerless to appease any of them without completely enraging the others.
The situation quickly becomes impossible. The girlfriend's relentless emotional threats blind her completely to Santosh's physical danger. She literally tells him she will burn her blood and die if he doesn't prove his love right then and there. She forces him to stay on the line, making him take impossible, reckless risks in the dark that just inevitably lead to the climax of the story. And then, boom, the sudden ringing of the phone shatters his fragile cover entirely. All those desperate tech-based excuses, instantly neutralized. There's no hiding anymore. He is fully 100% exposed to the raw, unquestionable authority of his father in that tiny, cramped room.
Facing the ultimate death penalty from Babuji, the narrative abruptly and hilariously concludes with the only logical escape left to Santosh. With his father awake and demanding answers, Santosh just whispers into the phone, "Break up." It is pure survival mode. The physical fear of the authoritarian father instantly overrides the digital emotional blackmail of the girlfriend.
As we wrap up this explainer, this whole chaotic, hilarious scenario leaves us with a really provocative question. Has technology actually fundamentally changed family privacy, or has it just shifted the battlefield from the physical room to the digital screen? Santosh's story shows us that while we might have infinite access to the outside world right in our pockets, if we don't have the physical space and independence to actually use it, we are just as trapped as we ever were. Thank you so much for joining me for this analysis, and I'll leave you to ponder that thought.